let's look at another one of Peter's sermons. And this, of course, is going to be in Acts chapter 10. You know of Jesus of Nazareth, how God anointed him with the Holy Spirit and with power, and how he went about doing good and healing all who were oppressed by the devil, for God was with him. We are witnesses of all the things he did, both in the land of the Jews and in Jerusalem. They also put him to death by hanging him on a cross. God raised him up on the third day and granted that he become visible, not to all the people, but to witnesses who were chosen beforehand by God, that is, to us who ate and drank with him after he arose from the dead. And he ordered us to preach to the people and solemnly to testify that this is the one who has been appointed by God as judge of the living and the dead. And he distinguishes Jesus quite clearly from God. We have Jesus of Nazareth, and God is the one who anointed Jesus with the Holy Spirit. So there, you've got God, you got Jesus and the Holy Spirit all in the same passage, but it certainly is not Trinitarian. This is the one God who clearly is the Father, and God is empowering Jesus with the Holy Spirit and with power, indicating, of course, that the Holy Spirit is closely related to God's own power. How was Jesus able to go about doing good and healing all who were oppressed by the devil? How was he able to do this? Answer, Peter tells us that Jesus was empowered by God's Holy Spirit, and he says God was with him. God was with him. There are a lot of people that look at the Emmanuel passage in Matthew chapter 1, verse 23, where Jesus has this title, Emmanuel, God is with us. And here we can see God was with Jesus, but it doesn't mean that Jesus is God. It means that God has empowered Jesus with God's own Holy Spirit and God's own power. And so they were working together, but Jesus is not God. He is clearly distinguished from God, but God is working through him. He is the agent of God's life-giving and salvific purposes in the new covenant. Of course, Jesus died, and again, God is the one that raised Jesus on the third day. God and Jesus are clearly distinguished. Jesus didn't raise himself. God is the one that had to raise Jesus because Jesus was a man. He was mortal. Okay, and then at the end, we can see that Jesus is the one who has been appointed by God as the judge of the living and the dead. Now, the role of the cosmic judge, that originally belongs to God. But Jesus is God's messianic agent, God's human agent. And as such, God shares his role of the cosmic judge with a human being. We can see Jesus is the one who has been appointed by God as the judge of the living and the dead.